basketball analysis with over 70 years combined experience.
The Bob Ryan and Jeff Goodman podcast is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time.
Time for Bob Ryan, Jeff Goodman, Tanguay along for the ride. Brought to you by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of CLNS Media Network. Pick more, pick less with Prize Picks. Okay, gents, let's talk about the Memphis-Boston game, but from the Memphis point of view. Jeff, I'll start with you. We talk about the Celtics a lot. You know, it is what it is. They were probably tired. They've been very busy lately. But what are you seeing from Memphis?
You know, obviously, Ja Morant's back, right? Like, that's the number one thing with the Grizzlies is, you know, without Ja Morant, they're a completely different team. Jaren Jackson's healthy. If you have those two guys, you know, Jaren Jackson's one of the best all-around bigs in the game right now. I mean, he's scoring at a high clip. He's a terrific defender. And then you add like Desmond Bane when he's healthy and one of the best shooters in the NBA. And you kind of figure out some pieces around him that have done well, right? Marcus Smart, obviously, when he's healthy, he gives you that toughness. Zach Edey, one of the better rookies and gives you a different dimension. And then, you know, the Jalen Wellses of the world, the Scottie Pippen Jr.'s like Jake LaRavia, Brandon Clark's back. He was hurt last year. They were decimated last year. And they've done a really good job of getting in tough, hard-nosed, high-character guys for the most part. I mean, again, you can question Ja Morant, certainly for his decision-making over the last couple of years, and that's justifiable. But, you know, even like a kid like Cam Spencer, right? He's making contributions off the bench right now for them, and he's a culture, toughness, chip on their shoulder guy. Ja Morant is a chip on the shoulder guy. He went to Murray State. Like, everybody told me he wasn't good enough until he was at Murray State.
They will be a tough out when the playoffs come if they stay healthy. They will be. Remember, 2 years ago, they made some waves. And as Jeff just pointed out, they were just completely done in by injury last year. Their year was a wipeout year through no fault of anybody's. I mean, that they, you know. And the other thing is the coach, I guess, is establishing he's pretty good, Mr. Jenkins. And Morant is explosive. Morant, he's one of the brightest stars in the NBA. He's one of the most exciting players that you'd pay to see. As that, and one he gave people the dunk of the year the other night.
Yeah.
I'm in it. A spinning reverse dunk. Oh my God. 6 feet. What is he? 6 feet. How tall is he, Jeff? Really?
6'2"?
Yeah, maybe. So yeah. So and Bane, no, you identified it right. Jackson, by the way, when we were thinking about an Olympic team, and I was thinking about Americans because he's one of the two best American-born bigs in the league right now. American-born, I stress, okay? The other being Bam. We are so bereft of legitimate bigs in America right now compared to what we used to have. The dominant players are born outside these shores. We're going to talk about one of them. It's coming up. And he's an underrated, not unappreciated player on the national scene, but he's a very nice player. No, and by the way, they've won 9 of the last 10, and so I think that they're going to make themselves known. They'll be a very tough out this. So I hope for their sake they stay healthy.
Do you have any thoughts on Marcus Smart? No, Bob. I know that you were always a fan.
I've always been a Marcus Smart guy. I put, you know, and I had to identify. You have to take the whole package, you know. And I still say he makes he made calling card was name a guy who intercepted a 7 foot a alley-oop intended for a 7 foot Greek, and the answer is Marcus Smart. I'll never forget that play. No, he is what he is, and we know that the somewhat indiscriminate threes, you know, and yet he's
Bob. Remember all the conversations you and I had about Marcus Smart. You knew they needed to deal him. But you were so in love with Marcus Smart that it pained you to think about them actually trading him.
That's true, and now I'm over it. Thanks, because Porzingis is Porzingis. If he weren't, I would be still bitching and moaning. I think, but not because we got no. It's all worked out now, except for him. He isn't healthy. He's got to stay healthy. But
right.
I was a fan of his. I was a fan of his from day one, and I wish him well. I think his heart's in the right place. I think that's been always the case. Basketball heart's been in the right place, and probably his heart's in the right place. So, I wish him well. But overall, you guys agree that Memphis is the team to respect.
And they're fun. They're fun because they've got some tough MFers. And getting back to what you said about Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum should be appreciative of what they might not have been at the time. They might not have been in some ways, because Marcus Smart, did call them out, whether it was inside or even outside the locker room at times. But it helped them. It helped them get mentally tougher.
Yeah, no question. Yeah.
Well, Memphis has always been fun. It's just when John Morant had the issue, the nightclub issue, that's when everything went south. I mean, it's no surprise that if Morant's healthy, oh my God, I mean, they're certainly worth the price of admission. Jeff, before we move on, Bob and I have talked about it in our last episode here. Do you have any Celtic thoughts? I mean, it's pretty much, unless there's something unique to say.
Yeah, I mean, again, they just, like we've talked about, I think, I hate to say it, but it's a little bit on autopilot now.
Right, it is.
And it sucks that we're at that point, but that's what happens. Like, I don't know how it was, Bob, back. I think it was different when the Celtics were rolling back in the 80s, especially. You had the Lakers and the Sixers. Like, there was always a team that you felt like was on pretty much an even playing field. Right now, you don't feel that way with the Celtics.
Well, no, obviously Cleveland is making a case for itself, but it's not the same as it was. Oh, you're so right. It's hard. It's just impossible to convey to anyone who didn't live through it. How it was. When Larry will tell you that he would literally circle the schedule when they came out for LA. And Magic would tell you the same thing. Absolutely, they weren't BSing.
And who are you circling now, Bob? Who are you circling?
No. I'm in my mind. I tell you who I'm circling: the Knicks. I want to revive that rivalry. Rivalry.
You want it. It's not there yet, but you want it.
It ended in 1974. Right. How's that? When the Celtics knocked off the Knicks in '74 after losing to them in '73. But at that point, DeBusschere and Reed were injured. And they're on their last legs. And so that was that. But anyway, I'd like to revive that. But by the way, did you know it? The cover of the New Yorker this week. Are you guys aware of this?
No.
Oh, it's a cartoon. It's a wonderful cartoon, caricatures of the Knicks.
Really?
And I'm going to produce it for you. And then the first game out of the chute, they lose. Therefore, beginning the dreaded New Yorker cover jinx.
Oh, there we go. By the way, we have to give credit to stage manager Elaine Ryan.
Yes.
Without Elaine, Bob does not get on TV.
My staff, right? My staff is
his staff
of one.
Yeah, I mean, I hope. Listen, there you go.
This is the New Yorker, the newest New Yorker.
That's cool.
Oh man, lift it up so we can see Tibbs a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great!
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Tibbs. I had a wonderful.
Let's get your address on it. Don't show that.
He's got Tibbs.
Yeah, lower. You don't show your address. We don't need that. But anyways, good stuff, Bob. That's funny.
People are going to be showing up at Bob's doorstep looking for autographs tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then they go out and lose. I'm telling you, therefore, it would be possible the New Yorker cover jinx. But there's no accompanying story, by the way. It's just the New Yorker way they do business. Anyway, so there's there. So check out.
There was no such thing. There was no load management.
Ah, you kidding?
That's another thing. There are nights where.
Okay, there you go.
The Celtics. Yeah, they. Oh, thank you again, stage manager Elaine. Excellent. I mean, there are nights that the Celtics look at whatever team and they go, well, they've done it. I mean, they're just like Jalen's not playing or Jason's not Tatum, and we're going with these guys, and that's it.
I got a nitpick, though. I do have a nitpick, and I'm usually that kind of guy. I'm a little alarmed, not alarmed, but concerned about the defensive application nightly. I hope they don't think that they're going to win every game just by outscoring somebody. And and when those threes aren't falling, and they did not fall against the Grizzlies with a great frequency, I still want to see Plan B executed better, and I still want to see, and I don't like the defense lately. So, that's all. I'm not. I don't feel real good right now. I want to get through this stage. I think Jeff's identified. They seem to be on autopilot. I'm not feeling real good at the moment. I'm not as about them. So I want them to make me feel better.
Bob, can I read you, Gary, some numbers on the Knicks? These numbers are eye-popping.
Go ahead.
These are 3-point percentages, and we'll even go as far as free throw percentage for each of these guys. Jalen Brunson, 43 and 84. Karl Anthony Towns, 45 and 86. OG Anunoby, who couldn't make a shot when he was back in college, 38 and 84. Josh Hart, 39 and 86. Miles McBride, 42 and 88. Cam Payne, 44 and 82. Tyler Kolek, 46 and 100 in limited time.
Yeah.
The only one who's not shooting like people thought is Bridges, Mikal Bridges. He's shooting 33 and 62. If Mikal Bridges can get those, which he will eventually. That team, man, the way they're shooting the ball right now is insane.
I'm ready to see a game. And if there's any team that could do it, I have witnessed. I'm not saying how many there have been because I don't know, but I have witnessed 2 games in all my years where 5 starters had 20 points. The Celtics did it against the Bullets in the early 70s, and the Suns did it knocking off the Lakers in the 84 Western Conference Finals. Okay. This Knicks team, they came close already, I know, to doing it. And it could happen somewhere.
All right, Bob. Who are the 5 Phoenix Suns who did it?
Okay. It was Walter Davis, Kyle Macy, Larry Nance Sr. when we didn't know he wasn't a senior then.
Right.
Alvin Adams. And the 5th one, I know I'm drawing a blank, and I should know. It can't be a guard. It had to be a forward.
Was it James Edwards?
No. No. Jesus. Sorry, we got to look it up. But that's the 4, and we're 5. And
Maurice Lucas.
Yes, thank you. Obviously,
I'm looking at it. I didn't get it.
That's the obvious one. The one that people might not realize would be Kyle Macy, probably.
Right. He was
on it. They beat the Knicks, and also, by the way, that on that play, Larry Nance Sr. made one of the most incredible plays I've ever seen in my life, which was he went up for a shot, and Kareem blocked it, and in the momentum knocked him down. But on his way, he recocked and shot it back up over Kareem and banked it in as he was falling down. I've never seen a play like that.
Wow.
Daddy, Nance Sr., he won a dunk contest, once. He was
I remember that.
Freak
He
athlete.
was absolutely a hell of an athlete. Anyway,
Nance was really the first. Nance was like I think. Well, maybe I think he was like one of the first guys to win. Was he before Jordan? No, he was before Jordan. Yeah, he was before Jordan.
I objected to him winning because
he won the first one, didn't he? Didn't he win the first dunk contest?
Right. And I objected to that because my theory is that you shouldn't enter the dunk. You can't. It has to be a 6'6" height limit on the dunk contest.
Yeah, well.
But anyway, we digress.
All right, listen, Bob's going to talk about. He's got some numbers for the Joker coming up, but first I have to tell you that Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up 200 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks, the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports during the holidays. Prize Picks is the best way to get action in sports. We know, folks, you're all over the place. 30 states, California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida, and also the great state of Massachusetts. So join now because this holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December. 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Pickmas. Hey, you think Curry will get more than 5 threes this week? Giannis for more than 35? Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this basketball season with your crew and run your game on Prize Picks. And then Anthony Davis for more than 12 boards. We're going to talk about Luka coming up. Doncic for more than 8 assists. Run with that on Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Okay. So Bob wants to talk about the Joker, Jokic. Some numbers have been blowing people away.
Well, just in case anyone has been, and understandably, preoccupied with football this weekend, with the college situation and a standard NFL Sunday, in case you weren't paying any attention, on Saturday night, the Joker went for 56, 16 in rebounds and 8 assists in 39 minutes. Oh, by the way, they didn't win the game, but he did. He was 22 for 38 from the floor in 39 minutes. That's Wilt-like, by the way. That has Wilt numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. On Sunday, last night, he went for a mere 48. He fell off. He went for 48 on 17 for 29 shooting in 35 minutes. So this is like, and it means on the 2 nights combined, he shot 39 for 67, 58%. What I'm getting at is it's getting to the point, in my judgment, where you can't say enough about how phenomenal this guy is. And when it's all said and done, whenever the career ends, you know, he's going to enter firmly into the all-time discussion as great GOAT, along with the 3 great centers that have dominated that discussion for the last 50 years, Russell, Chamberlain, and Kareem. But how are we going to deny this guy? He's on his way to another MVP, and he makes it. And the thing I love, and don't you love it, Jeff, particularly, that, you know, he makes it all look so easy. He goes wherever he wants to go. Nobody can stop him.
And nobody can speed him up.
At his pace.
Right.
Exactly.
You can't get him. You can't disrupt this guy.
Nope.
He's indisruptible.
No, it's
I've
amazing.
never seen anything like this.
Yeah, there hasn't really been anything like this.
No.
You know, there's been nothing like the Joker over certainly my lifetime and not your lifetime, Bob. I mean, a guy that can do everything he can do, right? I mean, he can, you know, you've had bigs, Sabonis, right? Sabonis was big and elite passer, but he couldn't step out and shoot it like Joker, and he couldn't handle it like Joker. Certainly not when he got here. No. He was completely different. I mean, you look at the best. I'm just trying to think of the best passing bigs we've ever seen. You know,
to me, you know, Walton's the standard of excellence,
of course, and
this guy is challenging that. Yeah. Totally challenging that. I mean, he's there. He's in the discussion. It's an either or now. I think I have to concede that. I never thought I'd see. I doubted I would ever see anybody that would challenge Walton in that category. But we have a guy who does it. On top of which, he's clearly a more well-rounded offensive player than Bill was.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't even think of him as just a big.
No, you don't.
I think of him. You know, you mentioned the great centers. You think, okay, the centers, the way that he and Luka play. I mean, these guys are 7 feet, but they play like they're 6'5".
Well, Luka, you know, so get that to Luka and his triple doubles, Gary.
You know, I mean, they said Luka, you know, pass Harden. When he said pass Wilt to pass Harden, I was like, okay, whatever. But then Harden, I mean, look, he's done this in 7 seasons.
Yes.
That's crazy, Bob. That's nuts.
No, it's you can't take him for granted either. And you know, now the one thing about him that it doesn't seem as easy to play with. Guys have to adjust to his ball dominance.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And it hasn't been easy. Irving had a hard time dealing with it last year, and he's not the only one that had a problem with that. Unlike Jokic, it's a different matter. Jokic doesn't seem to be an issue with him, but it is with Doncic, and so you know that does this translate into the wins that it should? When I don't think it has yet ever enough the way it should. So
yeah, he needs to learn, to me, how to move the ball quicker. You know, Luka. That's the one thing that's probably holding him back is, you know, if he could find guys quicker, move the ball, he'll get it back. But it's a lot of dribble. Now he can be an elite passer. He can obviously
of,
rebound his position. He can do everything other than guard consistently. Like he guards sometimes when he wants to, but he most of the time he's a liability on that end of the court. My bigger problem, like you said, Bob, is just like the ball sticks. The ball sticks and dribble, dribble, dribble. Like I thought Rondo was like that in a lot of ways too, right? It would dribble, 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 and then Rondo would make the no look crazy pass at the end of the shot clock. But a lot of guys standing around.
yeah,
And with Luka, I think there's a lot of that as well.
yeah, yeah. But still phenomenon. And once I know I'm repetitive on this and maybe redundant, but the phenomenon of international greatness that these guys, and the fact that these players are playing this game at this high level in a way that we never would have envisioned 30 years ago. But once again, it all stems, from the Dream Team. That kick-started a basketball interest in the worldwide, and these guys are the manifestation of that. And somewhere up there, Boris Stankovic is smiling broadly because this is all his idea, and people have to understand that in America. This is all because of Boris Stankovic dragging us, kicking and screaming into the international world 30 years ago.
Bob, why don't you ask Jeff the question you asked me about how many players are averaging 20 points a game in the NBA?
Mr. Goodman, take a guess. How many players are currently averaging 20 points a game in the National Basketball Association?
Oh, probably 50.
Oh.
No, not 50, but 20. I'll say, I don't know, 25 players.
Okay, well, you're only off by 15. Your first instinct was correct. 40.
Wow.
40 guys. Now, this is as of last Friday, the last day, 40 guys, 3 guys over 30 at that point, and 40 people averaging 20 points a game. That's where we are right now. Now, I did a little research. In year one, back in 46, 47, there was a Lone Ranger, Joe Fulks, who, by the way,
who?
You ever heard of Joe Fulks?
Joe Fulks, Fulks.
Joe Fulks was a 6'5". He was one of the early pioneers of the jump shot. Okay. And some people think he invented it. He didn't, but he was one of the very early practitioners. By leaving his feet to shoot with one hand, it was heretical, but he did it. And he averaged 23.2 points a game in the 46 foot. It was the first and only 20-point guy that year. He also averaged the next year. There were 2 guys, he and Max Zaslavsky, who was famously in the hat with Kuzi. By the way, that's the guy Red wanted. He wanted Max Zaslavsky when they had to pull the hat pull. Okay, then in the next year, George Mikan showed up, and he averaged 20 point base. But as it took 10 years before we had as many as 5 guys averaging 20. Now, of course, in the meantime, they went to the 24-second clock. And that obviously changed things dramatically for the teams and individuals. Well, anyway, 40. Now, going back to the mid-60s, mid-70s, we were hovering every year, 19 or 20 guys were averaging 20. Well, 40 guys are currently averaging 20.
Wow.
All right. So whatever that means.
Wow. Well, I
got some stuff for you guys.
Well, yeah. What about the 3-point? You got some 3-point numbers, Bob.
Okay. I just thought we talk about the dominance of the 3, blah, blah, blah. So I said, let's just take a night in the NBA and see what we find. Okay. Last night, there were 9 games in the National Basketball Association. Okay. In those 9 games, there was a total of 1,550 shots attempted total. Yeah. And of that percentage, 58% were 2s and 42% were 3s. Does this surprise you or confirm any judgment you have?
A little higher. Yeah, a little bit higher than maybe I would have thought. A third of the shots, I would have probably gone closer to 35% than 42. But man, it's
the most.
I just think it goes back to this. We talked about it with Jokic and Luka. You don't really have position players anymore, right? I mean, you may have like a point guard, or if there's a big who just wants a job in the league. But for the most part, guys are just basketball players.
You are so right. And you know who called that 40 years ago? Riley. Riley used to talk about that, and because once he got Magic, but I mean about the dream, he liked that idea of the positionless player. He liked the idea of so that Riley. So that's a very good point.
Well, you know something, Bob. I just want to interject there. I think the way I see it, I think it's happening because it's just more fun. I mean, think about it. If you're a 15-year-old kid, and Jeff has probably seen this more than any of us. If you're a 14 and 15-year-old kid and you're 7 feet, you're tall, whatever, you still want the ball. You want to dribble. You want to play. I mean, you don't want to just post up, right, Jeff? I mean, these kids, these AAU kids, regardless of their size or height, they want the ball and they want to play.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with Kevin Durant about this years ago.
He's 7 feet.
I said, I'm like, do you ever think about how you changed the game and now every big guy wants to be a jump shooter? And he kind of scoffed at it a little bit. He was like, no, I don't think I'm that guy. I'm like, yeah, you are. Like, whether you think so or not, like Dirk wasn't that guy. Not every big guy wanted to be Dirk Nowitzki, but every big guy wanted to be Kevin Durant. Why? He's raining threes. He's fun to watch. He's dunking on dudes. He's doing everything.
Right.
And I think he did change the game. I really do.
I'm sorry, Bob. Continue.
That's okay. Now, all right. So the most attempts last night were 54 by the Bulls in a losing effort. Okay.
Jeez.
The next up after that, Memphis took 43 in a win. The Timberwolves took 42 in a loss, and Golden State took 41 in a win. So that we have. And by the way, there was one, and the fewest was Phoenix. Phoenix only took 28. Maybe they should have taken more because they were 13 for 28, which is pretty damn good. They probably, had they taken more, maybe they would have found the extra missing 5 points in that 115 to 110 loss to Orlando. I hate to sound like Daryl Morey, but the fact of the matter is, that's the truth. Okay. So there you go. So the spread is low 28, high 54 on this particular evening in the NBA. Now, there's another one oddity that has nothing to do with 3-point shots, but I find this fascinating, and I love in that in the Miami 122 to 113 victory over Cleveland last night, each team attempted 86 shots, and each team made 41 total. How's that? You don't see that too often.
Nope.
So that's all. That's just, but I'm a stat freak, that. But so anyway, just so you know, folks, I'll repeat, in the 9 NBA games last night, and I'm going to do this at random every now and then, guys. I'll check in with this on random.
Well, we have to call it Professor Ryan.
58% of the shots were 2, and 42% of the shots were 3s. That's a lot, though. That's a lot. That's where we are. And I want to see how consistent that is. So maybe I'll do this once a week. I don't know. We'll see. But
Bob, you can do it whenever you want. You're the commissioner. College football is going crazy, but how about the NFL? Bills and the Rams? Wow. That would have been a cool game to be at. And you know what? You want to be at the cool games? All right, Game Time is the place for you to go because Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show what incredible deals you can get on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. It's efficient so you can spend your time actually going to the game. They've got guaranteed deals to make it easier to find the best price on great seats. And all you do is you go to your phone, you download the Game Time app, you put in a zip code where you want to go, you're off and running. It's so simple. And you can check out the view of the seats before you buy them. I mean, that's the cool thing about it. Is like you get the view, you know what you're paying for. All the pricing is up front, so there are no surprise fees at checkout. They have the lowest price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Plus, they have insurance ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Game Time. Get the app, download it. It's the easiest, simplest way to buy tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS to get $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, let's get back to the show. As we wrap it up, my final question for both of you, because I'm curious. Chris Paul passes Jason Kidd for career assists. And I look at Chris Paul, while he's a hell of a player, and he certainly has captivated the world with his insurance commercials. Jeff, I'll start with you. Has he underachieved?
I don't know how to explain or try to sum up Chris Paul's career because obviously he's missing that NBA title.
Right.
Competitive, has set cultures in numerous places where he's been. Um, I don't get along with Chris Paul, to be honest. We had a little issue years ago when the whole Donald Sterling thing went down,
Right.
and I interviewed him out in Vegas. He was coaching like an AU team. Did an interview with him. Literally held the recorder in front of me. We talked about at that point. I think it was. I don't remember if it was Doc. I think Doc had just come out and said he might not coach if Donald Sterling was still the owner.
Right.
And I asked Chris Paul about that and his thoughts. And then at the end, I asked him about coaching AAU and stuff like that. Well, obviously the lead of the story for ESPN at the time that I wrote was his comments about Donald Sterling. Well, he was upset. And I'm like, Chris, what did you expect, man? Like, what?
Especially if you get the recorder in front of him. I mean,
what's I going to do? Lead with you coaching AAU basketball? Like,
and you have the
freaking
recorder.
break.
Yeah.
So,
but I just feel,
Yeah.
but Jeff sums up how I feel about him, Bob, because a bit of an enigma. Because I remember when he came in as a rookie, I believe out of Wake Forest, it wasn't it the New Orleans Hornets moved to OKC for that season, and he came out. I remember because I was doing the Celtics. It was like this guy came out, and this guy like he brought to me he brought pro hoop to Oklahoma City. I mean, the reason there's still a team in Oklahoma City is because of Chris Paul.
I mean, guys, I saw him when he was actually in AAU ball. He was the number one point guard in the country back in like the early 2000s, and he was terrific. I mean, again, he just knew how to play. He was the same player then that he is now. Like he had that type of high IQ and maturity.
Right.
Terrific, obviously in ball screen and decision making and all that. He's just the thing missing. I mean, it's like the Charles Barkley deal. But Barkley was, I think, a better player. Is that title? And everybody's going to talk about it. And he's been at a bunch of different teams. Didn't get along with Blake Griffin when he was with the Clippers. That thing didn't work. Then he's at Houston for a couple of years. That doesn't work. Then, like you said, he went to OKC. Phoenix didn't really work. Golden State didn't work. Now he's with San Antonio, trying to tutor Victor. Like I just don't think he's been. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where you put him on the pantheon of point guards, but to me, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, but I'm not putting him in the top. Like, I'm not putting him ahead of Isaiah Thomas or anything like that.
No. Yeah, no.
Top point guard.
Bob?
Funny, when I saw him in the tournament, I saw their regional, and I saw him play two times. I wasn't impressed at the time. He fooled me about how good he is. That's but that's not relevant to this conversation. I do not, for one, hold the lack of a ring against him. And the reason is, in my opinion, there's only been one time that one team ever that won where the best player was a point guard, a guard, a small point guard.
Right.
And you mentioned the name, Jeff. That, if you want to argue that Isaiah Thomas was the best player on the 89 and 90 championship winning Pistons, that's fine with me. I think he was.
I think he was too.
You go back as far as Bob Cousy in the early 50s when he was the best player in the league. And Celtics couldn't win until they got a big man, okay? Cousy was there around 6 years before they won, okay? And you cannot find me a team that won whose best player was a 6'1", 2'3" point guard other than Isaiah Thomas. I am not holding that against him. That is not the way the game ordinarily works. So I think he is an all-time great point guard. I think he's a clinic for point guards. The young point guards, you want to study Chris Paul. So that now off the court and all that and whatever, okay, I don't know. I could see, but on the court, I think he's truly great. That's all.
Yeah, well said. I think the off the court stuff kind of hurt him. All right, guys, always a pleasure. Jeff Goodman, Bob Ryan, Gary Tanguay along for the ride. Brought to you by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network. Pick more, pick less with Prize Picks. Jets, talk to you next week.